In this video, I'll discuss foreshortening, and it's in my book, Ellen's Guide to Drawing Shapes on Amazon. Shapes change in a specific way as they recede from the viewer or curve around a form. Rectangles and squares, if they are upright and we're looking straight at them, have true 90-degree angles. If they're on the ground and we see them recede, the angle gets smaller, here from 60 to 30 degrees. The diagonal becomes more horizontal and becomes a line on eye level. And importantly, these shapes foreshorten, meaning the shape changes so that this distant portion of this trapezoid is shorter than this portion. And in the distance here, this trapezoid has a much shorter distant element than its element in front. When foreshortening, determine which dimension recedes from the viewer. So here we're going from the top of the flower towards its center, and that's what is receding. So this is the receding line. And then for this petal, this is the receding line. You can see it right here. And for this petal, it's this way. So you can see it right here. Now, the width is this way. And so we see it here. We see the width here. And we see the width here. So you can see that going from top to bottom has much more narrowing than when we just look at the width. To find these girders, or V's in perspective, start with the converging lines and divide the area into receding rectangles using this magenta line that goes from this point through the middle of this vertical line to indicate where this vertical line should start. So then we have a rectangle in front that's bigger than the one in back. Find the center of each one of these rectangles and drop a vertical line down from their center to find these yellow dots. And the V's then have a point on the yellow dot and go to each end of the rectangle. Here I connected like parts together, like the head, the waist, and the feet. But it's difficult to know where to put everything because parts on top overlap those below. I'll show you two workarounds. What you can do is take a figure and plan and mark where the top of the head is. This one we can call the breast, the butt, the knees, and the bottom. And then draw your trapezoid and find its middle using the blue diagonals. And that will give you the middle line here, which happens to be the butt line. Then find the middle of each one of these rectangles, and that will give you the breast line here. And if you find this middle, you'll find where the knees should be. Here I divided the arm into 4 parts using multiplying rectangles. So for example, this yellow line is right after the elbow here, it's right after the elbow here, and it's right after the elbow right there. The arm shortens, although the vertical extent here to here doesn't change very much. The fist increasingly overlaps the arm, so less of the arm is visible. The fist turns toward the viewer, so we see more of its front side. And the shape changes because the part heading away from the viewer shrinks, while the width and height of the fist doesn't change much. But ironically, this, which is the most foreshortened, actually shows depth the least because we don't see the rest of the arm. We just see a frontal view of the fist. This diagram shows what happens when a shape is foreshortened. So we start with the true rectangle with perpendicular sides, and as this free edge comes around like this, it eventually overlaps the central vertical line, becoming just a line. And between these two extremes are an infinite number of foreshortened shapes. And we know they're foreshortened because they are triangular rather than rectangular, or they could be trapezoids. And so the direction toward the vanishing point is getting smaller than the length of these free edges. I exaggerated the perspective of my horse painting by choosing a central line through the receding shape that's almost vertical. If this line were shorter, then the head would be even more foreshortened. It can be endearing, especially with animals, or it can be confrontational, like a fist. But avoid copying the camera's propensity to make sizes of things nearby, like my grandson's feet, seem much larger than his head and arms. Artists usually want a more proportioned look. I want to discuss the characteristics of branches moving toward us versus those moving away. The ones with the red asterisks are moving toward us. They're dark if they're above us and light if they're below. Branches generally taper, but if the branches move toward us, they increase in width. So the result of these conflicting effects is that the diameter may not change. We see more detail and contrast with sharper edges as the branch approaches us. We can see where it originates in the trunk, often with a shadow below. For a branch moving away, which I marked in these blue asterisks, they taper quickly, and they're affected by atmospheric perspective, so they get lighter with softer edges and a decrease in details and contrast. We don't see where they originate, and they are overlapped by branches and foliage in front of them. Upper branches cast shadows like these that wrap around the branches below, indicating their 3D form. In my next video, I'll discuss 3-point perspective, and please remember to subscribe.